What's up? It's your boy Steve Cardenas, aka Rocky the Red Power Ranger, and you are watching Blurredography. So check it out.
My friend.
Hi, Mark from Blurredography. My question for you is, how did you get started with Studio RDT?
Ooh, Studio RDT. So it's funny because I haven't nailed down the name that I want to do. Studio RDT or RDT Films is my production company. And that's an excellent question. How did I get started? Well, 2020, I was out in California. I had just got back filming from Rangers, and I was staying with my best friend Destiny. She's going to be here later on tomorrow. So my CEO of the agency that I represent in Columbia, South Carolina, she was like, well, Rorrie, Destiny needs a demo reel. For actors, a demo reel is basically a video. Usually it's a compilation of all the different stuff that you've done. But since she didn't have much to work with, we made a demo reel for her. So literally me and her sat down, we wrote a scene out. She took it from something Dawson's Creek or something like Dawson's Creek. She did a rendition of that, and I filmed it and recorded and directed it. And I loved it so much, and then me and my CEO came up with the idea of now I'll just officially do that for the agency. And I said, well, let me have a subsidiary under you. So RDT Films came from that. So now I have my students that I teach with the agency, I film their demo reel. So they have something that they're walking into when they're getting introduced to this industry, because as we all know, it's been shutting down ever so slowly with all the strikes and the writers, and now actors and directors are going to be next. So I'm just trying to create a hub to where they don't have to worry about all that. Yes, sir.
Oh, it's a bit of more of a headcanon, but I was just thinking with the popularity of Power Rangers Once and Always, the Netflix special. If Beast Morphers were to be like let's say the next film, how would you think that Zach and Rorrie's scene would play out?
Well, I think first for the audience sake that and it's gonna come up in the later on. I think there has to be a scene where he teaches me how to fight the capoeira style. Okay, hip hop keto, that's what it is. There has to be an episode that he's showing me how to do that. So I just have an excuse to fight just like Walter, because it's sick. He kicked, can I say?
But
he kicked
he kicked
in
ass.
Once and Always, he's the one, right? In Once and Always, and I'm like, this man, he's still got it, and I just need to be like him when I get up there. So I need all the pointers and all the tips from the wisest. Yeah.
Period. JB versus the world. How has it been for you guys being the newer kids on the block and to the Ranger family? What is the welcome?
Did you want an intro for us or anything since we just walked in?
No.
Period. But for your stuff, no.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Say that question one more time, boss. What's it been like for you guys being the newer kids on the block, on the Ranger block? What's it been like for you, being new to family, welcome into it? What's it been like for you guys?
I think for me personally, it's been very accepting. Just from talking with the older cast, they've been very informative. They've been telling us what it's like to be a ranger and what kind of opportunities that come with it and what the weight of being a Power Ranger holds. So I think it's also nice being one of the newer cast because we bring a different style to being a Power Ranger, but also so interpreting the old school. It's from Go Busters, from relating to Mighty Morphin, us having Austin in our season. So I think it's been very, it's been good, man. It's been good. We've been blessed, and then just wanting to learn even more.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who do you want to go?
Working on something like Power Rangers that has 30 years of history, how do you bring something to the table?
You just got to come, man. You can't come with the mindset of I have to prove something to anybody, because that's gonna mess you up, and it's gonna be pressure that you already don't need, because there's pressure already just from
the name.
The name. We went and we filmed in New Zealand. That was already something on its own, just to be outside of the United States working on this very big show, 8 Americans in this foreign country. So it was already kind of a pressure there. And then like for the production side, we were kind of getting used to how things are because they already had like segmented, like this is how they kind of do things, and we're just kind of learning and growing in that.
Especially with 2 units.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
very untraditional for television. You know, the fact that we had 2 entire productions filming at the exact same time and we would be taken from one to the other back all over the place. Like that's not normal.
No. For those who don't know, by 2 units, he means in main unit, the first one, is where we do most of our acting, and that's where you see all the serious and the dramatic stuff. And then in second unit, that's where we do all of the martial arts combat.
Yeah.
And I think also, like you said, like after being here for 30 years, I think that definitely takes into account of the pressure and the fandom that's already been built for X amount of years. But I think it's also good giving it our own take, just because, so it doesn't become so kind of like the same thing that you see over and over and over. And I think luckily we've been blessed to have such an amazing season, directors, producers that gave us a little bit of freedom to do what we kind of wanted to do with the character. And that's why it was received really well by you guys. And yeah, so I think we kind of didn't even care about that it's been going on for 30 years. We just kind of wanted to give our own versions of the character from, you know, the Sentai.
We were the new kids on the block.
I want to touch on that question a little bit. I think what really made our season different is one, our chemistry as a cast. We were even told, like, compared to other seasons, like, our chemistry was, I think, a lot tighter than a lot of casts.
Genuine chemistry.
Very genuine, and we hear a lot that came across in the show. So I think that was something that, you know, was unique. But I also think we all brought in our own, like, you know, thing. Like, we know our strengths, we know our uniqueness, like, we know why we were cast and what, you know, led us to that role. So then we went with what we know best, and as artists, as actors, I think that's the only thing you can do.
I think all of us had a clear understanding of the business side of this as well.
Yeah.
Where we even fall into where, you know, Jazz is this type of guy and I'm this type of guy and Abraham is this type of guy. We all understand and we know that, so we can play up to that. So we can.
The other unique thing about this job is that when we were all auditioning, we all had the same sides. We were all technically auditioning for the same character. So it was the same scenes, everything, and we all played it our own way and ended up being cast into these completely different types of characters from the 1 or 2 scenes that we all did the exact same thing. You know what I mean?
Brad.
Yeah. And then I think it's even crazier the fact that even when we got the call that we booked the job, that was the first time they told us what color we were going to be.
Yeah.
And that was it. We only knew the color. We didn't even find out any like specific like character descriptions until we all met for the very first time at Power Morphicon in 2018. And that was the first time we met like the whole Hasbro team, and we had a meeting and they told us our character name and our character description there for the first time after we had already accepted the job. You know, and then we got to New Zealand, and then we had the intensive with the acting coach, and then we were really able to figure out our characters for the first time. And also with the added challenge of filming 3 episodes at once and not knowing where our characters were going, we were very in the moment, very present and like focused on that, which I think plays into our performance.
Yes.
This question is for both Jazz and Abraham. Both of you have worked on short films. For Jazz, it's The Resurrection of Nikolai, I believe.
Yes, sir.
And for Abraham, it's Burrow. Can you tell me a little bit about those experiences working on those films?
For me, it was, I've always been a fan of the supernatural. So like Vampire Diaries, Rise of the Lycans, Van Helsing. And I wanted to create something that I had full control over. So, you know, I got with some filmmaker friends of mine, some local production team, and I told them that I wanted to make this project. And that idea actually came from a dream. So I had this dream about this character, and, you know, you guys can go watch it, but I wanted it to come to life. So I woke up the next day, jotted it down, met up with some friends, got a script written, and filmed it. It was definitely, from my experience doing a short film, especially being like the one that wrote it and as co-directing, it was a lot more pressure than being an actor, because as an actor, you just come on, you memorize, you know, your character, you do your job, and you leave. As someone that's a director or someone that's a writer or producer, there's a lot more work that has to be done from the background. So it was definitely challenging, and I do want to remake it and make it better, but I just thought the idea and the concept was really cool, so that's why I want it to come to life.
It's a brilliant movie. Where can they find it, man?
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, so for Burro, it was my first bilingual like film and television role, and that was really, really fun. And it was about this immigrant father and son, and the dad is forced to be a drug lord, and or else threatened to be killed. So like it's one of those situations where I don't know, his father, he has to do what he has to do for his kid. He's an immigrant, like he doesn't have all the options that are accessible to everyone else. So it's a very powerful story, and it hits really close to home because of me being first generation American and my parents being immigrants from Mexico. That is what got me most excited to tell that story. And production wise, like, have I shot or worked on bigger projects with like huge budgets? Yeah, and it's been fun. But with something like Burro, which was independent, I enjoyed that a lot more than the other bigger projects because of the story that I was able to tell. And at the end of the day, I think that's why we do what we do as actors and as artists, is to tell these stories to inspire and help people. And that was very impactful. So yeah, it's not always about the project. You would think maybe like, I don't know, something else was like a crazier thing versus like this short film, but like we just want to tell stories,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you had one, right?
Yeah, they say you guys are the new kids on the block, but you're not the new kids on the block. Have you guys been able to, like, when the new season started, was you guys able to reach out to them and kind of just give them words of wisdom, or like how did you find yourself encouraging that next group?
I think I asked similar questions that I had asked, like, for example, like Yoshi Sudarso, I had messaged him, Brennan, William Schufel. And it was very similar questions that even they reached out to us, and they would ask us like what some experiences, what are some do's and don'ts on set, like how is it being on set, how's the pressure, what are some fun things to do, or how do I handle being a ranger, yada yada yada. So I think we all gave really genuine answers, even if it was an answer that they wanted to hear. They had to know before going into New Zealand with strangers and trying to make this project and have so. I think it was very similar questions. I answered them truthfully, the negative things and the positive things about being in New Zealand or about being on set. And I think that really helped them get a clear view of how it was going to go down on set.
And know what to expect going into it. Because I think for us, no one really told us a lot.
No one really told us. They told us like the
production.
Once we were there, more so. But
yeah,
that's what I want. I like tried to make sure that I did with the new cast is what would I wished I had known before going into it, and especially connecting with Jordan, the new Gold Ranger, since like I'm passing on the torch to him. I wanted to make sure that I was like, I'm here for you, like I'm your gold, whatever questions you have during the shoot, anytime, like please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know. And like we had a little FaceTime before he went and shot the show, and I just kind of gave him the gist of everything. But we are family, and they know that, and we all know to reach out to each other when we need it.
It's two sides of this too, because you have the production side of it or filming side of it in New Zealand, and then you have this side of it as well when you come back to the States. And I think I had more conversations on how it is when you come back into the world, to reality, and definitely had some conversations with Tessa, with Hunter. Chance. I talked to Kai. Kai is
just MIA. He's doing his own thing.
He's having kids. He's a dad. He's busy, guys. He's dad.
You gotta stop over here because we gotta meet you in the main panel.
Yes, we're going to the panel room.
You guys have more questions? Go to the panel.
Find us there.
Those are the main stage.
Awesome.
Yeah?
Cool, ka-choo.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys. And always remember, it's morphin' time.
Yes. Okay.
It's
morphin' time. It's morphin'.
Hey guys, it's me, Karen Ashley. I am one of the co-owners of RangerStop and Pop. We had an amazing time this year in Atlanta, and we can't wait to bring RangerStop and Pop back to Atlanta. And I just want to thank all of the fans, all of the attendees, all of our friends and family that came, supported the show. We had the most amazing vendors. We had the most amazing time. And you guys know, It's always morphin' time.